Hello everyone. Today I wanted to talk to you about dividend stocks and how to select dividend stocks if you are in Canada. Not every dividend stock is created equal. And if you are, throwing darts at a list of dividend stocks and hope that you will hit the good one, that's probably not a good strategy. Just look at Bombardier. Bombardier used to offer north of 3% dividend yields, but all of that was suspended in February, I believe, of 2015. And if you look at long term, that's probably not what dividend investors are looking for. So I've compiled a list of 10 simple things to check for when you're selecting dividend stocks in Canada. Number one, does the company have a characteristics of a dividend-paying stock? The companies have various cycles in their maturity. The company starts as a small startup, then it has typically a growth stage where its revenues grow really at a fast pace. Then it matures, right? And then you have a decline and the company dies. So you probably don't want to buy a stock that is in that startup or growth area, because if it's in the growth stage, all the cash that is generated typically gets reinvested back into the business, and there's not much cash left to pay dividends. You want to pick stocks that are in that maturity stage where the business model has been proven and a business is generating enough cash to pay the investors those profits. Okay, so number two, you want to look at stocks that pay dividends and have been paying dividends over a long time, and stocks that have been increasing their dividends over time. A good example is Bank of Nova Scotia. It has been paying dividends since 1833 and never missed a dividend payment. And it also has been increasing dividend payments since at least 1996. So that's a good example of a stock to look at. Number three, are dividend payments regular? Meaning, are they every quarter? Because sometimes companies would pay out a special dividend every once or every 2 years, and that could be misleading because it inflates the reported dividend yield. So you might be looking at a stock and looking, wow, it has such a high dividend yield, but in reality the payments are not regular. Number four, are they sustainable? A good indication if dividend payments are sustainable is to look at the cash flow that the company generates. Typically it generates cash flow from three areas: operations, so you're operating a business and then business generates cash; investing activities, so this is where you invest money and so company can invest money and get interest and get the cash flow; and financing activities, so it can raise money from investors, for example. You want to look at the business that has a lot of cash flows coming from operations, and it should also cover all of its expenses. So if a business is, for example, it creates roads and infrastructure, but it spends all that cash maintaining its business and has nothing left, at the end of the day, it's probably not a good business. So you want to find something that is sustainable, that generates cash flow from operations, and has enough left after all the expenses are paid in its bank. Number five, are the dividend yields too good to be true? And the good rule of thumb is 10%. So anything more than 10%, it's probably too good to be true. And as the old saying goes, measure twice, cut once. You want to be wary of really high dividend yields. Number 6, is the company cyclical? There's a lot of companies in the energy space that are cyclical, and when it comes to a downturn, those companies are not able to pay out dividends, and they cut them more than half. I've seen cases of 70% at least in the oil and gas industry. Just look at what's happening now with oil prices being slashed because of supply, right? There's too much supply, pricing wars with Saudi Arabia and Russia going on, and coronavirus, of course, putting pressure on the demand. So oil prices went down, and now those companies are most likely to slush their dividends. Number 7 now. Does the company have enough cash in the bank? So if the company has cash in the bank and it comes to a downturn in the economy, tough times, those companies are more likely to pay dividends for a longer period of time, and they'll continue to pay them. Number 8. Look at the company's debt. How much debt does it have? Because the priority for the company is to pay the debt holders first. It has to pay those loans off. It has to pay the interest on those loans first. It's not required to pay dividends. It can easily say, okay, we're not going to pay dividends this year. So again, if the company has a lot of debt, that's a warning sign. Number 9, is the company based in Canada? Remember, the federal dividend income tax credit only applies to Canadian stocks. And if you are holding US dividend stock, you will be taxed at your full marginal tax rate. Now, if you have dividend stocks from US, I would suggest to hold them in the registered plans like RRSP, which is Registered Retirement Savings Plan, or TFSA account, tax-free savings account. That way, you're not paying taxes on that dividend income. And number 10, the final one, what about the stock price? Is it a good value? Because if you're just buying a dividend stock for its dividends, that's probably a wrong move. If the company is overvalued and its stock price is going to tank right after you buy it, and typically it's not going to offset these declines from stock price declines are not going to offset any dividend income that you make, and so net you're probably going to lose out. Okay, so that was the 10 crucial questions you should ask before buying dividend stocks in Canada. I hope you found it useful, and you'll be buying good dividend stocks. And as John Rockefeller, one of the richest men in history, said, when asked what gives them the most pleasure, his response was, my dividends coming rolling into my bank account. So hopefully that will be the case with you. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns, and I'll be happy to respond to them. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.